Everyone, the meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, could you please read the adequate notice of compliance statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the City Clerk's Office in preparation of the council meeting notice dated May 27th, 2021, which was properly distributed and posted per statutory requirements. Please be advised that fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room. The city has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system at the dais and return it to the dais thereafter.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could we have the roll call, please?
Ms. Allen?
Here.
Ms. Hairston?
Here.
Ms. Little?
Here.
Mr. Naidu?
Here.
Mr. O'Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Vartan?
Present.
President Fox?
Here. Okay, and now the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to call on our newly elected council member, Andrew Miniger, to come up and lead us in the pledge. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No problem. Happy to do it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now, Madam Clerk, could you please read the notices regarding closed session and hearings and comments?
A closed session meeting is authorized by state statute, was announced and held prior to the start of this meeting, and the known items for discussion were listed on the published closed session agenda. Please be advised that council meetings are broadcast live on Summit YouTube channel and Comcast Channel 36 and Verizon Channel 30, and rebroadcast on Thursdays and Saturdays on HTTV on Comcast 36 and Verizon 33. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, spell your last name, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please give or email a copy to the City Clerk's office at rlicatis@cityofsummit.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers are asked to limit their comments to approximately 3 minutes or so in length. Unless you are using an electronic device to follow the meeting agenda or need it for professional emergency contact purposes, please turn it off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now on to minutes for approval. Do I have a motion to approve the closed session appointments meeting of, that would have been November 15th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It was right before.
And the regular and closed session meeting of November 14th.
So moved.
Second.
So I'm going to abstain on the first one.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion, and you're abstaining on the first.
First, but
right?
I'll support the
Oppose
second.
the second. Okay, moving on to reports. Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. First of all, the Union County Woman of Excellence Award is still, there's still time to submit a nomination for the County of Union, New Jersey Women of Excellence Award. The deadline is soon, midnight tonight. The awards are given out to women who have improved the lives of their fellow community members and are open to all women 21 years and older who live, volunteer, or work in Union County. For more information or to make a nomination, please visit ucnj.org. And then secondly, earlier this week, I participated in a Facebook Live question and answer session with Westfield Regional Health Department Director Megan Avalon on vaccinations for children and adults. Director Avalon provided us with very useful information to help families make informed decisions about the COVID-19 vaccine and booster shots. If you missed the live talk, you can view the session on the City of Summit YouTube channel. And I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. That's it, Council President.
Thank you. And City Administrator Rogers, would you like to give your report, please?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Just a reminder, the 2022 Preliminary Capital Budget Workshop meeting will be held on December 8th at 6:30 p.m. in the Whitman Community Room at City Hall. Department heads will be presenting a preliminary capital budget plan to elected officials, and the meeting is open to the public. Can't believe we're here already, next year. Annual parking permits for downtown employees expires on November 30th. The deadline to renew annual downtown employee parking permits is December 15th. Please go to citysummit.org for more information. And then lastly, the City of Summit was just notified that we have been awarded the $50,000 for New Jersey State Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry Program Stewardship Grant to help develop a benchmark inventory of city trees and better manage the health, safety, and sustainability of our city tree population. Monies from this grant will be spent over a 2-year period starting in January 2022. And that's all I have for this evening, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, for my report, the New Jersey, a statewide ban on single-use carryout bags and polystyrene foam food service products, that's a tongue twister, will go into effect on May 4th, 2022. This will supersede our local ordinance, and it prohibits all New Jersey stores, food service businesses, and grocery stores from selling single-use plastic from using single-use carry-out plastic bags. In addition, grocery stores larger than 2,500 square feet may not provide or sell single-use paper carry-out bags, and instead must provide only reusable carry-out bags. The new law also prohibits all persons in food service businesses from selling any polystyrene foam food service containers. For more information, please visit the City of Summit website, cityofsummit.org/state ban. In addition, the next Summit Free Market event is on Saturday, December 11th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Municipal Transfer Station. Adult and student volunteers are needed to staff the event. Email pressoffice@cityofsummit.org if you would like to participate. So with that, we'll move on to public comments. Are there any comments from members of the public present? Madam Clerk, I understand we have one letter that came in?
That's actually for the hearing.
No.
Do you want the one for, the STI was the one for?
Oh, okay, that other one is
That was
for
a
the hearing.
resolution.
You're correct, okay. All right, so we don't have anything for public comment, so I'm going to close the public comment period. And we'll move on to ordinances for hearing. So our first ordinance is Community Programs and Parking Services. Madam Clerk, could you read the title, please?
Before we
Did I
do
miss
that,
something?
Madam President, we have to
Oh, that's the other
consider a
thing.
minor amendment.
Okay, so that's the
Okay.
resolution,
Yes.
right? Okay, so
Council-
Councilmember O'Sullivan, you're going to introduce the resolution for the minor amendment?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
Yes. So we're going a
Be whole
little out
night
of order.
this.
We're going a little out of
Yeah.
order. Okay, so thank you, Council President. This is ID number 9317, to authorize the execution of an agreement between the City of Summit and staff.
No.
If I may?
Yes, go ahead,
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
So, Councilman O'Sullivan, there was a resolution for a minor amendment that was emailed.
Yeah, I had it.
To make some minor changes, non-substantive changes to the ordinance number 3249. Would you like a copy here?
It should be it's at my place. It should be at Danny's.
This is it.
Okay.
There were just a few changes that were made, particularly to a reference at the tier garage. The initial, or the ordinance when it was introduced, mentioned the 2-hour parking area on the ground level of the tier parking garage. That's been omitted. It's just the entire ground level of the tier garage.
Right.
And then the other change was to reflect the free parking period would be the second Saturday in December through December 31st. Initially it said December 30th. So we changed it to December 31st.
Right.
And that's
So-
what appears throughout the document now.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
So if you'd like to make a motion now to adopt the minor amendment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
I would like to move that resolution to make those unsubstantive changes to the ordinance that was read at the last meeting.
Need a second.
I think that is.
And I second.
Okay. Are there any comments from members of the public, from members of council? So this was a little confusing. Just to explain what we're doing here. We have an ordinance that had some minor changes, and the way we have to do this is by this resolution to make the changes so we can vote on the ordinance. So it's a little bit convoluted, but this is the process. So With that, if no one has any comments, I'll just take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So now we'll move on to the title of the ordinance, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Okay.
Ordinance 21-3249, an ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-8 Parking, subsection 7-8.5 Parking, time limited on certain streets, and Section 7-25 Regulations for the movement and the parking of traffic on municipal property and Board of Education property, subsection 7-25.2 Municipal parking lots, as amended by the resolution we just adopted.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilmember O'Sullivan, would you
Thank
like
you.
to introduce the ordinance?
Thank you, Council President. This is ordinance number 213249 that we introduced at the November 15th council meeting. If passed, this ordinance will make free holiday parking permanent at various locations in the CRBD from the second Saturday of December through December 31st each year. The locations covered under this ordinance will be the entire ground floor of the Tier Garage, the Bank Street lot, and 90-minute kiosks in the downtown area. Time limits will be strictly enforced to encourage turnover of parking spaces. It will not include the DeForest lots. As our mayor and council know full well, free holiday parking is something that has been approved annually via resolution for a good number of years. In the spirit of supporting our downtown businesses, I ask that council strongly considers making this permanent and votes to approve this ordinance. I would now like to open the hearing.
Are there any comments from members of council? Councilmember Vartan.
Thank you, Council President. So I'm in support of this ordinance for 3 reasons. The first is residents want it. The second is businesses want it. Summit Downtown Inc. is willing to market and make a modest financial contribution to offset revenue lost. And third, we can finally stop talking about it. Every year, council talks about trying to find a long-term solution. We finally have a way to get that done. We can move forward in a productive and collaborative way with SDI, and I believe that this is the best way to do that. I am thrilled that hopefully this will be the last time we discuss holiday parking during the holiday season. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Naidoo.
I too support it. It's something that has been discussed for a number of years to try to achieve. I'm very glad that we can finally achieve it. I know that sometimes the discussion about the holiday parking and the turnover and the revenues of the city, those are all relevant considerations, but in the end, what we're trying to achieve here is some certainty that people know what they expect each year rather than having to have in October or November a scramble to figure it out that ultimately gets achieved. So I think this is a good solution, and I thank the committee for working hard in a short period of time to get this done.
Thank you, Councilmember Naidoo. Any other comments from members of council? Okay, any comments from members of the public? Okay, so hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing. And let's move on to safety and health. The first ordinance, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 21-3250, an ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-13, Turn Prohibitions, subsection 7-13.1, Turn Prohibitions.
Okay. Is there more, or is that the end of the title? That's it?
That's all I see
Okay.
here.
All right, so Councilmember Hairston, would you like to introduce this, please?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to introduce for the hearing Ordinance 21-3250, which was introduced at our November 15th hearing. And if this is approved, it will be to prohibit left turns at the intersections of Weaver Street and Morris Avenue, and Norwood Avenue and Morris Avenue from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. and 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. on school days only. And as anyone who has had to do drop-off and pickup for high school and Kent Place School, Oratory School, knows that we get a log jam there, and this ordinance will alleviate that, and so I ask to open up a hearing to pass this ordinance.
I second that.
Okay, are there any comments from members of council?
Yes.
Councilmember Allen, would you like to go first?
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Council President, I just want to thank the committee for this. I love this. I drop off every morning at the high school, and I would like to thank Chief Bartolotti and all the officers who have managed the traffic over there. It is so much smoother, so thank you, because when it first started at the beginning of the year, it was quite dangerous. So I just feel so safe, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Vartan.
Thank you, Council President. So I'm in support of this as well. So I think there's two ways of dealing generally with traffic, school traffic concerns, right? So you can change traffic patterns with regulations like this one, or you can get cars off the road. And both things are important, but getting cars off the road is a much larger discussion, partially addressed by more sidewalks, making our city more bike-friendly, and more things that we can't discuss right now. But I think that this is a very quick and easy approach to make a small incremental improvement to the traffic pattern and to the way that people drive around this school zone. So I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing none, we have, it's the next
We're gonna
one.
close
Right,
that.
I can close the hearing. All right, so now we'll move on to the second safety and health ordinance. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance 21-3251, an ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-8, Parking, subsection 7-8.4, stopping or standing during certain hours on certain streets.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilmember Hairston.
Thank you, Council President. And similar to the previous ordinance that we introduced, ordinance 21-3251, which, if approved, will stop traffic on both sides of the roadway on Sherman Avenue and will restrict traffic flow down to one travel lane and will prevent the risk to safety. And it will also increase the safety for the students around Kent Place School. So this is on Sherman Avenue North and Norwood Avenue and between McGregor Road between the hours of 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. on school days. And so I'd like to introduce this, open up this hearing. for this
Second.
ordinance.
Okay. Are there any comments from members of council? We have a comment from the
Did you want to check with the public first?
yes, public here. Does anyone have a comment? Okay, so would you like to read the comment that we received?
Yes, we received one public comment for this hearing tonight, Council President, from Summit resident B.J. Kogan, who resides at 4 Sherman Avenue, and she writes, thank you for the opportunity to submit a comment for this week's council meeting regarding the Sherman Avenue ordinance. My name is B.J. Kogan, and I have lived at 4 Sherman Avenue on the north side, across from the path to Lincoln School for 43 years. Over the years, I have often been the point person for discussions with Kent Place School. I write on behalf of some of my neighbors who may not be aware of this agenda item. Our house is on the bend, making parking a larger issue and contributing to the congestion at pickup for both Lincoln and Kent Place. People have trouble parking on a bend. That said, we have a front row seat on the problem. Several years ago, we met in our living room at the dismissal hours with the former Chief of Operations at Kent Place, Dave Carty, and 2 officers from Summit Police so they could see firsthand the mess of traffic. While the support was great, not much was accomplished. While the proposed ordinance is a positive step, I would suggest or request that the restriction be extended until 4 o'clock instead of 3:30, as the Kent Place School dismissal is later and the bulk of their traffic is closer to 3:45. With kids sitting on my lawn will attest to this. Another issue is Kent Place School people, mostly teachers, who disregard the 2-hour parking restrictions. Kudos to our parking services people who respond quickly and ticket the offenders. It works for a while and then they are back. Unfortunately, if the ordinance is passed, it will require significant enforcement efforts on the part of the city. Thanks for the ability to weigh in on this untenable situation.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you for your comment, and I'm going to ask Chief Bartolotti to come up and address this issue, and then I'll explain sort of the procedural part of the timing of making changes to ordinances, but I'm going to let him deal with the substance first.
Thank you, Council President. Through you, in response to that, first off, I do want to thank Lieutenant Dave Ritchell and Sergeant Charles Daly. They are the two officers that met in that living room to monitor traffic. They spent the last couple of years speaking with Kent Place through their transition to try to address the traffic concerns for that neighborhood. So, and also I'd like to thank the residents in that area as well for working with us and being patient with us as we did our traffic studies there. This ordinance is a result of those meetings and that traffic study. What they found during this process was that the shrinkage of the roadway prohibited emergency vehicles from traversing down that roadway with cars parked on both sides. But more alarming was the number of vehicles that were parked, prohibited safe line of sight for pedestrians, mainly children, in the school that were crossing the street in that neighborhood. So that is the purpose for this ordinance. With regards to the request to extend to 345, it is our recommendation that at this point, if this ordinance passes as presented for 330, it'll allow Traffic Safety Bureau to look at the area with the ordinance in place to evaluate whether an extension is necessary, and it may warrant to extend even further. It is our expectation that with the reduction of vehicles on the roadway, there'll be less vehicles traversing through that time period, that it may not warrant an extension, but that's certainly something we're looking at following the passage of this ordinance if it does so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just to add to that, in order to make a change to an ordinance, just for the audience to understand, once an ordinance has been introduced, a change like this would require that we reintroduced it. And we're now coming to the end of the year. We can't introduce an ordinance on December 14th and then hear it in January. So in effect, even if we were to make a change, we'd be in the same position, which would be introducing a new ordinance in mid-January for a February 1st hearing. So I think it makes a lot of sense procedurally as well to go ahead with this, and we can always tweak later based on what the police department finds as the ordinance is in effect. So with that, are there any comments from members of council? Anything?
Yes.
Go ahead, council
I had a
members.
comment, and I'm in support of this. I mean, it's anything that's going to make people safer and try to alleviate the congestion, but the cars have to go somewhere, right? Where are we pushing the cars? They're coming anyway to pick up their child. So I'm just wondering where they're going to go now.
Through you, Council President. So part of the meeting, I apologize, I should have brought this up before. Part of the meeting with Kent Place security, if you will, is they have a drop-off pickup route inside their campus. What we're finding is a lot of people avoid that because it does take a little bit of time to traverse through that and around the circle that's within their campus. The idea is with the traffic control officers out on the street along Norwood up at the upper level and the lower level, they will be able to get vehicles in and out of there quicker. It is a congestion there during pickup, and a lot of things factor into that. Weather, when weather's bad, there's more pickup than there is when weather is good. That's what we want to see going into the winter months to see how this ordinance change affects that pickup. The vehicles do have to go somewhere, but the turnover rate should be a little quicker on Norwood, on Sherman, because you're not having vehicles on both sides. So what happens is, as you have vehicles parked on both sides, if every other vehicle, so to speak, on either side clears out, you still have vehicles on both sides, but you'd probably have enough vehicles to fit all on one side. Nobody's going to reposition themselves, so we're hoping that alleviates it as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so with that, I'm going to close the hearing. And we'll now move on to ordinances for final consideration. Madam Clerk, could you read the first title, please?
Ordinance 21-3249, an ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-8, Parking, subsection 7-8.5, Parking Time Limited on Certain Streets, and Section 7-25, Regulations for the Movement and the Parking of Traffic on Municipal Property and Board of Education property, and subsection 7-25.2 municipal parking lots, as amended by the resolution we adopted earlier.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Sullivan, are you ready to open the final consideration?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. As we just closed the hearing on ordinance number 213249, I ask that we vote to approve said ordinance that would permanently grant free holiday parking at various locations in the CRBD from the second Saturday in December until December 31st each year. I move this ordinance for final consideration.
Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hairston?
Yes?
Ms. Little? Yes. Mr. Naidu?
Yes?
Mr. O'Sullivan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
President Fox?
Yes. Okay, the motion carries. And we'll move on to the first safety and health ordinance.
Ordinance number 21-3250, an ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-13, Turn Prohibitions, subsection 7-13.1, Turn Prohibitions.
Thank you. Councilmember Hairston, would you like to introduce this ordinance for final consideration, please?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to introduce for final consideration the ordinance number 21-3250, which we just heard is for the purposes of turn prohibition at the intersection of Weaver Street and Mars Avenue and Norwood Avenue during the hours of 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. and 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Am I reading the wrong one? No, this is the right one. Okay.
That's correct. You're
Sorry
good.
about that.
So close.
And that we approve this ordinance.
Okay.
I second it.
All right, Madam Clerk, could we please have a roll call?
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hairston?
Aye?
Ms. Little? Aye. Mr. Naidu?
Aye.
Mr. O'Sullivan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
President Fox?
Aye. Okay, and moving on to the last ordinance for final consideration, Madam Clerk?
Ordinance 21-3251, an ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-8, Parking, subsection 7-8.4, stopping or standing during certain hours on certain streets.
Okay, Councilmember Hairston.
Thank you, Council President. As we just had the hearing for ordinance number 21-3251 for final consideration to prohibit during certain hours on certain streets, stopping or standing on the north side of Sherman Avenue between Norwood Avenue and McGregor between the hours of 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. on school days. I ask for us to give approval for final consideration.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hairston?
Aye?
Ms. Little? Aye. Mr. Naidu?
Aye.
Mr. O'Sullivan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
President Fox?
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. And then we'll move on to resolutions. So the first resolution, finance.
Yes.
Councilmember Vartan.
Thank you, Council President. This is number 9296, and this resolution authorizes the transfer of appropriations within the operating budget from accounts with a surplus to those with insufficient funds. This is a common occurrence at the end of the year and the beginning of each fiscal year, and the total amount of this transfer is $58,345. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hairston?
Aye?
Ms. Little? Aye. Mr. Naidu?
Aye.
Mr. O'Sullivan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
President Fox?
Aye, motion carries. Finance number 2, Councilmember Vartan.
Yes, thank you, Council President. This is number 9297. This resolution authorizes the schedule of school levy payments for the first half of 2022. The city is responsible for collecting taxes and then distributes those funds to the schools on a monthly basis, and this resolution authorizes the monthly installments from January 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2022. The total amount of the levy payments in that time is $34,253,377. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to finance number 3, Councilmember Vartan.
Thank you, Council President. This is resolution number 9298. This resolution authorizes the 2022 municipal, sewer, parking, and school debt service payments. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to finance number 4.
Thank you, Council President. This is number 9293, and this resolution authorizes an agreement with Walcuts and Company for 2022 audit services in an amount not to exceed $68,600. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we're on to safety and health. Councilmember Hairston.
Thank you, Council President. I introduce ID number 9299, which is a resolution to authorize the 2-year contract extension for animal control services for the period January 1, 2022 through December 31st, 2023 for $48,000 per contract year. I move this resolution for approval.
I second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, we're moving on to community programs and parking services. Councilmember O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Council President. This is ID number 9294 to authorize a grant application submission and acceptance of grant agreement for a year 48 community development block grant. The application is for a total of $50,000, of which $5,000 would be used for the Senior Connection bus and $10,000 would be used for the Share the Fun Club after-school program. This grant has allowed the DCP to expand program offerings and continue to help fund the Senior Connections bus. The other $35,000 will be used for the renovation and refurbishment of the 2 trash rooms at 12 Chestnut Street. The current compactors are inoperable and over 40 years old. This project will significantly increase the efficiency of the trash collection and pickup. I move this resolution.
Second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? I think this is great that we are now also applying for grants for the Housing Authority as well. That's a wonderful addition. So I'm very pleased about that. And with that, I will ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So now we're moving on to the second community programs and parking services resolution.
Thank you, Council President. This is ID number 9317 to authorize the execution of an agreement between the City of Summit and Summit Downtown Incorporated. Annual free holiday parking contribution. As we just voted to approve an ordinance that makes free holiday parking permanent at various locations in the CRBD, this resolution authorizes the city to enter into a reimbursement agreement with Summit Downtown Inc. to offset a portion of lost parking revenue due to free holiday parking. The amount agreed upon is $3,000 per year, and it will be a line item in SDI's annual budget going forward. I move this resolution.
I second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll now move on to capital projects and community services. Councilmember Little, you want to start with the first one?
Thank you, Council President. The first capital projects resolution is number 9318, and it's to authorize a resolution in support of NJDOT action. It's the installation of an additional guide rail along Hobart Avenue in Route 124. This came about from a contact by a resident who lives at 44 Londonderry Way regarding several traffic accidents that occurred in that area and asking that the city review the accident history and come up with a plan to prevent those accidents. The city did review that and contacted NJDOT regarding possible improvements, one of which could be the installation of this guide rail in this area. So clearly we want to prevent these accidents from happening, and I ask that we approve this resolution.
I second it, sorry.
Okay. Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to capital projects number 2.
This is capital projects number 2, which is resolution number 9263, to authorize the submission of an intersection permit application to NJDOT and the installation of a traffic island at the intersection of Fernwood Road and NJDOT State Route 124. This comes about because the engineering division was asked to look at the problem of people making illegal left turns onto 124 from Fernwood. So they came the solution of installing a small traffic island there. And at the pre-application meeting with NJDOT for the draft submission, NJDOT advised the city that a resolution was needed in order to submit this application. So I ask that we approve this resolution to be able to submit the application for the installation of this traffic island.
And I second, oh, sorry, Beth. I second it.
Okay, are there any comments from members of council? Councilmember Hairston.
Yes, I would just like to recognize Chief Bartolotti and Director Schrager for both this one and the previous one read. There was a lot of back and forth with residents and with New Jersey DOT, and I think you all worked really hard to come up with the resolution for these issues, and I want to thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hairston. That's a very good point. Anything else anyone else wants to add? Members of the public? Okay, hearing none, let's, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So do you want to take the next resolution, Councilmember Little?
Thank you, Council President. With your permission, I'd like to bundle the next 4 resolutions.
I was hoping that was the case. Go ahead.
Thank you. I am hoping to bundle resolution number 9212, which authorizes 2022 consultant planning services by Burgess Associates not to exceed $65,000. Resolution number 9210, which is to authorize 2022 consulting engineering services from Collier Engineering and Design. Resolution number 9209 to authorize 2022 consultant engineering services from Stonefield Engineering and Design. And resolution number 9208 to authorize consultant engineering services from Boswell Engineering not to exceed $200,000. These are all consulting engineering firms that and planning firms that provide outside services to our Department of Community Services when needed. These have all either contracted with the city before, or the teams that are working there have worked for the city before. They have done excellent work for the city, and I ask that we approve these resolutions for these consulting firms.
And I second it.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? I was going to just clarify one thing. Were you going to clarify sort of how this process works?
Yes, but then go ahead. That's exactly what I was going to do. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I was going to say, so these are to authorize up to a certain dollar amount contracts with these consultants, but that doesn't mean we necessarily spend all this money. And each of these, when we engage one of these engineers, they each have different areas of expertise. And when we engage them, it's part of a capital project generally, and the cost of the work is attributed to that capital account. So this is just a way to create the structure for this to happen. Did you have anything to add? Or
That was exactly my point.
Okay, so with that, if no one else has any comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we're now on, that was a good trick, we're now on to capital projects number 7.
Thank you, Council President. Capital projects number 7 is resolution number 9310, and this is to authorize the extension of the temporary closure of a section of Maple Street. As most know on the dais and watching from home, the closure of Maple Street occurred during the pandemic when 4 of our larger restaurants in town requested that we close to be able to use those sections of Maple Street for outdoor dining during the pandemic. It's been very popular with both residents and downtown businesses and pretty much everyone. It's been a great benefit to the city. We did do an extension through November, and then 2 of the restaurants at the upper side of Maple Street have asked us to extend as well through the holidays until January 3rd. So this would be the section of Maple Street north of Springfield Avenue that is contiguous to Summit House and Roots in that area, and to extend that closure through the holidays through to January 3rd. I think this is a reasonable modification to what we've been doing before, recognizing that some of the traffic has come back and that there is more activity in the downtown for the holiday parking, but we are going to be opening the other section of Maple Street as well as opening the spaces that have been taken by the parklets for most of the summer and the spring and through the fall. So I would ask that we approve this resolution to extend the closure of Maple Street north of Springfield Avenue.
I second it.
Are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public?
Council President, do you want me to read this?
I think we've covered.
Yeah,
I think we've dealt with it. Okay. So with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Did you have a problem, Councilmember Harrison?
I'm confused because I thought we heard from SDI.
Yes, they were concerned about the full closure, and when they contacted us, we've spent a bit of time talking to both Bob Conway and Nancy Adams, and they are happy with the resolution that, as it is, has been introduced by Councilmember Little. They were in agreement with that change, just to have the north side of Springfield Avenue.
Okay.
So so it's sort of moot to read their comment because we've already addressed it in this resolution.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I just so
Sure,
clear,
go ahead.
right? So their concern was regarding parking spaces. The area that we're closing off doesn't have any parking spaces, and it is
North of
an
Springfield.
on Maple
side.
Street,
Yeah.
right? That area by Roots and by Summit House doesn't have any parking spaces, that area of Maple Street. The other side of Maple Street, which is not going to be closed, does have parking spaces, and that area is going to now become open during the winter time for traffic and for parking. And that's the side also that has other businesses, while the side with Roots and Summit House doesn't have any other businesses that are going to be impacted.
And that this is something, longer term, we will be looking at a permanent closure, we hope. But for the time being, for the holiday season, this will be reopened.
I've largely covered it. Council President covered what I was going to say.
Okay. Yeah, just in case there was confusion, we do still hope to have a closure, and as the weather gets warmer, we will revisit that, I believe.
And SDI is supportive of a permanent closure.
Yes, so, but that's a longer process to do something like that.
And the SDI has accommodated the businesses who have said they have delivery problems and things like that. They've accommodated their requests.
More or less. It's only a handful, and it was more a matter of notice rather than the thing, so.
And it's also that there's the closure gets you, it only starts after the entrance to the tiered garage in the back. So businesses that have deliveries but can use the back space still can have them delivered there. So even in the
Even
time,
currently.
But now all we're doing is for 1 month, and in an area that's not impacting any other businesses, nor is it impacting parking spaces.
Or the alleyways for deliveries.
Or the alleyways for delivery.
Because it's not the entire
Yes.
street that's closed.
Exactly. It's the segment that is covering the length of Barbacoa, Summit House, and Roots. And that's on Maple, and that's it.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so let's just take a vote again now. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. It's a complicated meeting tonight. All right, so Councilmember Little, we're up to number 8.
Thank you, Council President. Capital Projects Resolution number 8 is resolution number 7758, and this is to authorize execution of a 5-year agreement with Roosevelt Commons for snow removal and lighting reimbursement. In accordance with NJSA 406723, condominium associates may be entitled for reimbursement for certain services, including street lighting and snow removal. Previously, we had a 5-year agreement with Roosevelt Commons that expires at the end of this year, and this is simply a renewal of that agreement for an additional 5 years. And I ask that we approve this resolution.
I second it.
Any comments from members of council? Any comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one last capital projects resolution. Councilmember Little.
Thank you, Council President. The last capital projects resolution is number 9327, and this is to declare a vacancy in the Department of Community Services for our city engineer. We are very sad in the city of Summit to have heard that Rick Matthias, who is just an incredibly great employee person and city engineer, is going to be taking a new position with the county and going to be the Union County engineer, which is a great step for him and will be a great partnership to have him there at the county, but we are going to be losing him in the city, which is a great loss for us. So this is to declare a vacancy for his position in the community services for the position of city engineer, and I ask that we approve this resolution.
Second it.
Any comments from members of council?
Just that I think it's unfortunate. I mean, it's great for him. It's a great opportunity. He's been a terrific employee. He's a very intelligent, great engineer, and he's wonderful with the public. So
He will be missed.
he will be missed. He's a good guy, but God bless him.
Yep, and we wish him
Very much.
luck, and
Yes.
we'll still see him, but he'll be.
Well, now
in
we've got
different-
a phone number to call.
Right,
I
we
got
know
a
who
cell
to-
phone at the county engineer's
Right, we know
office.
who to call at the county when we need something, so, okay. So any other comments from the public, from members of council? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we now have one law and labor resolution. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Council President. I'm introducing Resolution Number 9334, authorizing the extension of the 2021 liquor license agreement for local businesses conducting the outdoor dining on Maple Street, which is north of Springfield Avenue, in relation to Councilwoman's Resolution 9320. Currently, the license expired effective November 30th. Therefore, this resolution seeks to extend the license through January. I have 2nd, but it was mentioned it was January 3rd, so I just want to make sure.
I heard 3rd. I don't know where that came from, but
Okay, so I'm going to extend it through January 2nd, 2022. And that's for Summit House, Roots, and the Barbacoa area, north of
Right.
Springfield Avenue.
Okay,
And
we need a second.
Second.
Yep. Okay, are there any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Madam Clerk, are we doing the 2nd or the 3rd?
however the council decides to do that is totally up to you.
Okay,
Um,
so maybe just
I'm
to be.
hearing 2 different dates
That's
tonight.
the
I've
problem.
only known January 2nd, but
I don't know.
January 2nd is a Sunday.
Sunday.
Mhm. Should we just do 3rd so we're consistent since Councilmember Little said it?
Through the 3rd?
I guess so, just to be safe?
Okay.
Yeah, just so we're
So is there a
consistent.
motion to make that change to the
I
resolution?
make a motion, yep, to make a change to the resolution.
Okay.
Second?
Seconded.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And do we also need to vote on the resolution itself?
Yes.
Okay, so then on the underlying resolution, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motions on both carry. It's just, everything's super complicated today. All right, so now we're on to the consent agenda, and we generally take that as a whole unless anyone has anything they'd like to talk about in the consent agenda. So hearing no comments on that, all those in, I need a motion on the
So
consent
moved.
agenda.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the the motion carries. And now we're on to council members' comments and new business. Does anyone have, Councilmember Vartan, 3 things?
No, just one.
Okay.
Just one. Just thank you, Council President. Just want to commend the very nice work done by our fire department, police department, EMS, for making quick work of multiple vehicle fire in the overlook parking garage the other day this week. So nice work, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of council?
Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, yes, happy Hanukkah, everyone, and I guess happy Merry Christmas as well, coming up, but well, I guess we're here again in 2 weeks, so happy Hanukkah right now. And I'd actually like to also thank community programs and also DCS for getting the holiday lighting program, for running that. It was a great program, and there was a little bit of a scramble to get the menorah ready and up and running, and I appreciate also the clerk's office and everyone else who made that happen. Having Hanukkah on Thanksgiving weekend is a challenge. So thank you for everyone who made that happen on short notice. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.